But you said you haven't worked as an actor with Mamet before. How is he as a director? What's it like?
He's awesome. We laugh a lot. We laugh a lot. I mean, so far the process is really delightful and fun and challenging and creative, and it's great. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's great in the room. The playwright and the director aren't arguing with each other, and if they are, they're not doing it in the room.
Yeah.
Did I decide? In the words of Valley of the Dolls. What was it Susan Haywood? She says it to me there. So now you come crawling back to Broadway. Nobody else wants you. I heard about Race. I wanted to read for it. I just thought that, he could get anyone he wanted, and to do a world premiere of a dramatic play on Broadway is something I've always wanted to do. That's like been a missing. I've done Broadway. I disagree. Why didn't they talk about this?
The incomparable James Spader.
That's exciting.
But I think also you make a very good point. But beyond that, also is the fact that this play is a provocation.
Yes.
And a provocation is very much more provocative when it's in person, obviously, than when there's the sort of removal of television or film.
That's right. There's no filter of the artifact.
And I think that's a big part of it. And I also think that this exists in the world that David Mamet writes about in his plays and in some of his films. But this is the same world sort of through the prism of hustlers and con men. I mean, this is that same world, and sometimes those hustlers and con men sell real estate scams, and sometimes they make movies, as in Wag the Dog, and sometimes they're actual con men, as in House of Games, and sometimes they're lawyers, as in this play. But that's the world that this story inhabits, and that world, in the way David writes it, you couldn't place it. It's this David Mamet world, and those people exist only in that, and I love that quality about it. And then I'd see it again in another piece of work of his, and sometimes and this mix, or sometimes it's funny, but it's not funny, and it's abrupt and brutal, and yet there's a soft underbelly to it that's vulnerable and dangerously so. I like that. His stakes are very high. He likes to raise the stakes and then raise them again. And so I think, when I met with him, the enthusiasm was there, and I don't know, we enjoyed each other immediately, and I think that helped. If you feel that you can, in this process, you really do have to work together in a way that there isn't any removal at all. There's no
trailer to go to.
There's no sort of escaping one another. You really are to have to reckon with one another, and that's worked out really well with all of us too. I think that just sort of all worked right away.
Yeah.
Is that a new experience for
James,
you? I'm not familiar with you doing a lot of stage work.
What do you mean? Working in theater,
yeah,
or relating to other people?
In theater, I mean, and to be in this.
I haven't done a play in decades.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't gotten a sense at all of any of these three people's politics, really, personal politics at all. I haven't gotten a sense of any of that from our time spent together, and I don't think I've put forth anything about myself in terms of that either. It really has been about just trying to figure out how to get from A to B to C to D, and not screw up your lines and not trip over yourself. I mean, it really is sort of that stage of it right now, I think, anyway. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Please.
Isn't this a moment from the play?
It is.
What I like about it is that the conversation and that exists within the play. Things that I haven't heard on stage to the depth that we go. And it's a unique point of view, but that goes to the writing, you know what I mean? So that's wonderful. That's why I wanted to do the play. I'm not this character, but I know this guy.
Do you anticipate people walking out? And or do you anticipate
I don't have any
protests in the theater?
I have no.
You know,
I don't have
if
any
you work in the
presumption.
theater, you always
we're
have
lucky.
to. Yeah, if you work in the theater, you always have to anticipate people walking out because sometimes they just do.
I did The Wiz in La Jolla. People walked out of that.
I mean, one of the things that's interesting, and also I'm very glad to be doing this play.
Yeah.
Because this material is something to live with for some time. And I don't think that the answers do not come easily. They really do not come easily with this material. And, you know, you're very lucky on a television show that the material is coming fast and furiously, because there's a spontaneity about it, and there's something that has to happen very swiftly. And therefore, what you choose to work on in a play better be something that you cannot figure out the answers to for the duration of that run. Otherwise, it is going to become one long redundancy. And this material it fits the bill perfectly in that I don't think there are any easy answers in this. The questions are difficult, and the questions prompt other questions. And there are many questions in this play where it's not that the answer is difficult to come by. There isn't an answer that I can provide.
But not to be misunderstood. It's not like, oh, how do we fix this play, or I'm changing this, or we're moving this
Right.
big chunk over here, or we have this issue we have to resolve.
It's syllables.
It's syllables. I mean, it's musical. He's working the phrases, pulling out things that are not necessary, placing in 3 words that might make something more clear, taking one word off of the end of a sentence.
Adding an and.
Adding an and,
Changing
adding a
the
pause.
end to but.
Yeah, and so it's that he's using his ear, and it's not like how do we make this play work. It's just really fine.
But it's
literally
precision.
fine tuning. It's precision.
But it is precision.
It's so fun. It's so fun to see it.
That's a perfect note to end on. So, thank you guys for coming out for a long rehearsal. Thank you all.
I'm James Spader. I'm doing this fantastic play called Race. Please come and see it.